Ladies and gentlemen, friends and rivals, welcome. My name's Ian, and this is my friend Derek.
Hey.
There you go. We will be your hosts for the episode. We are honored and grateful to have joined us at our table. Here at the Game Table Podcast, we take a look at various board, card, and other tabletop games. We give an overview, provide a little insight on how to play, and share some of our thoughts, all in an attempt to give you an idea of how well it'll fit for you and your table. Today, we are at the featured table, taking a look at Ready, Set, Bet by AEG Games, designed by John D. Clare, and art by Kirk Buckendorf and Athena Kegel. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Ready, Set, Bet is a fast-paced, real-time horse racing and betting game for 2 to 9 players. Players place bets on horses as the race unfolds, watching each horse ever so closely to find an edge over the other bettors. After 4 rounds of racing, the player with the most money from the winning bets is declared the winner.
Woo! Let's race.
And they're off.
Well, so as we get into this, yeah, and they're off because we'll pitch that right now because that's funny. But so one, horse racing. Do you like horse racing?
I literally watch one horse race a year, only because it determines my fantasy football draft lineup.
That's awesome. Man, that's such a good idea. That's fantastic. Wow. So how do you just pick does everybody pick a winner? How does that process work?
So we've done the actual picking of it a couple different ways, but essentially what it is you're just picking a stall because we get that all lineup all figured out before they do the stall, and it's for the Kentucky Derby, obviously the big one. Yeah. And so then once we have a stall, then it's really, you're just hoping that the right horse is in the right stall. Because I mean, but it's a fun one because it kind of randomizes it, and it's a local like neighborhood league. And so everyone really kind of gets into it if we can watch it together.
That's cool. Yeah, that's that's such a neat idea. I might have to steal that. I ain't gonna lie. So I also do watch the Kentucky Derby. That's honestly it. Yeah, that's the one I watch. It's the one race that I do watch. I mean, I do keep up, I guess, with the other, the Triple Crown. So what's the other one? The
Belmont and Preakness.
Preakness. Okay. So I'll listen. I'll tune in if I notice. I mean, they're usually on like Saturday, aren't they? I think
I sit there and it's just like if whichever one's the second one, because I know it's the Derby is first. Whichever one's the second one, can't even tell you that much. But if there's somebody's won the first 2, I will watch the third. Yep, absolutely. I'll jump right back in. I'll be like, yeah, totally want to see the Triple Crown.
I do. Yes, I also tune into that because I think it's cool, and it doesn't happen very often. I guess as far as like, have you watched any like horse racing movies? There's Secretariat and then Seabiscuit, I guess. Is there another? I feel like those are like the 2.
If there is, it's way beyond my level. But like, I remember Seabiscuit. Yeah, couldn't tell you. I don't think I've watched it in at least a dozen years.
I don't think so either.
And Secretariat, it's one of those that I've scrolled past on Netflix when I'm bored and been like, maybe I should watch it, and then I never do.
Yep, that's funny. Yeah, no, I think I don't even recall. I know I've seen both of them, but I don't think I remember when. It's been a minute. So I guess before we get started, I want to introduce you as part of this podcast, which is fun. One, you love this game.
Love this game.
Which you introduced this game to me at a game night. But on top of that, am I wrong? How you found the podcast and how you connected with us is you were listening to the podcast. Is that right? And then you reached out. Is that how that worked? Or
No, it was all, I assume it was you, because on Facebook, somebody posted in Nashville Board Gamers or something like that.
Okay.
And I just was like, perfect. Find the podcast, listen to it.
There you go.
And then after a while, joined the Discord. Uh-huh. And then after that, we've talked a couple times, like a bunch more times here and there, and then, played games since then.
Right.
But it was that random of, I had caught up fully on all my other podcasts, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm like in the moment of actively looking for a new podcast, see this post, and then, then it wasn't, it's one of those where you don't even join the Discord for a while. Somebody says it, and then you're like, I should just join this Discord because I'm already on Discord, so I might as well.
I think that's such a cool, we obviously post, any social media, you're posting all the time. And so, we'll put those posts out there and you just never know who's going to see it like that. And I think it's just so cool from your perspective that like it worked.
Well, yeah. And not only that, but it was like, I went back after a while when the next time I caught up and I'm like, I never listened previous episodes. I just kind of
caught up to this. Started, yeah.
Turns out it was like episode 4 that you guys were on. Like it wasn't like
very early.
Yeah, it wasn't even like I was like I had this huge backlog and caught it. I'm like it was. Right. Turns out I started listening pretty early and didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I guess because I have caught up a couple podcasts like that where it is early on, so I had time to like catch up. But I feel like it would be quite daunting though if you're like, oh no, it's like there's so much to catch up on.
Yeah, I mean, and there's other times where I've played around with, listening to other board game podcasts. Like I have another one or two that I not as regularly, but still regularly listen to. But it's just one of those where it's like at some point there's becomes so much where you're like, I'm only going to listen to the ones that I know the game and I feel or I'm interested in the game. Yeah. But this is one, since then I've been able to catch, I think almost all of them. Yeah. I think maybe around the holidays when things just start stacking up is the only chance I'd miss it.
I'll be perfectly honest. I am unable to listen to all that we also released. Don't tell Jared. So, but no. And so like, I remember, that process, obviously you getting on our Discord, and then we knew that obviously you were from here and you lived here. And so that connection happened. And then we were going to have a host a game night. And I remember we had a game night with y'all and a couple other people at Jared's place. And I just remember Jared, who's like, I mean, I'm just inviting a guy I've never met to my house. I don't know how this is going to go. And I mean, I thought it was great, but we all were like, it is a little different. You're like, this person, these people are coming on and we're meeting with somebody that like only knows us from listening to us. We don't know them at all.
Yeah, it's one of those where you're like, I only know their faces because they have their faces on a website that I've seen.
That's right. So it is a little weird. So, all right. Well, I'm glad to have you here. I think it's awesome. And we will talk about this game. So let me do a little how to play. This game's pretty basic here, but let's get into it very quickly here. All right, in Ready, Set, Bet, players will be, like he mentioned, betting on some horses in live time, a real-time betting actions, and you're doing this all simultaneously, so there's no turns. It's just constantly flowing as the game goes on. To start the game, the horses will all be in the gates, and the players will all have a set of betting chips, depending on how many players there are. But if you're in the max player count, you'll have 3 to 4 betting chips that you start with. You'll be collecting some as the game goes on, with some special abilities, or there's other ways to get some extra betting chips. But you'll start with a couple of the basic ones. Then either the app or the announcer will declare that the race has began. And so you will start, and the dice will be either rolled or the virtual dice inside the app will start to be rolled. And based on whichever and it's 2 6-sided dice, they'll determine which horse moves. And so as you go throughout the race, certain horses have better odds. So you have the 7, which is the highest odds of being rolled, and that is the favorite to win. But it goes all the way down through the 2 and the 3, and then the 11, 12. Yep. So it's 2, 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the 11, 12 are technically the same horse, and the 2, 3 are technically the same horse. So when you're rolling these, that's how they'll move. So if you roll the 2, it moves the 2, 3 horse. So when you're rolling these dice, you just constantly roll them, or the app will just continue to move the horses one at a time. And usually there's a couple seconds in between on the app, but the horses will just be moving. They'll be moving and racing simultaneously, real time, and the players during this time will begin to bet on this massive map of different multipliers is really the best way to define it as. You'll be placing your betting chips onto this multipliers that are on a board. Now you'll be betting on each horse individually on a set of different how you think they're going to do in the race. And so you'll bet on either the show, the place, or the win. And so that's how, if you bet on the win for a specific horse, so let's say you place your chip on the win column for let's say the 7 horse, that you'll get a payout at the end of the race only if that horse wins the race and it is in first place. If you place your betting token on the place horse, that means that the horse has come in first or second place. The last thing is in the show spot, which that means the show horse, and you only get paid if they come in third place. Now, when you play on any of those and the horse comes in first place, you get paid out for all of them. So, because they are all of those things. They're a win horse, they're a place horse, and a show horse. But if you bet on the third place horse, let's say the third place horse was the 4, well, if you placed in the win column, you won't get paid for win. They didn't win. So you have to play in the show for them to get the show for third place. You, again, as these horses are moving, you're betting simultaneously along with other players. Each slot on this board, of the betting board, can only be taken by one person and one person's chip. When it is taken, that place can't be taken anymore. So if Derek claims, the winner for the 7 horse, and the rest of them are taken because there's multiple for each location. But if each of those locations is taken, I can't go there. I'm going to have to bet on a different horse, or I'll have to bet somewhere else. There's a lot of other spots, but I will have to play somewhere else. Again, as the horses go on in this race, once the horse crosses the finish line, you will have the race is done. No more betting can be done. There is also a betting line. So the betting line is when the third horse crosses the betting line, then no more bets can be made. So if 3 horses cross that betting line, then you're done. Everybody just watches the rest of the race kind of transpire, and then you're waiting for a winner to be determined. Again, once whenever the first horse crosses the finish line, the race is done. So when that horse crosses the line, that's the first place, and then the second place will be the next closest horse to the finish line, and then third, and so on. If there's a tie, then they'll count towards the place horses or the show horse. There's some tiebreakers there. You will throughout the rest of the game, you'll have 4 separate races. So you'll do this 4 times. After each race, though, the players will be given some abilities to be given, and they can use these abilities throughout the race. And some of them are passive abilities. Some of them give you extra payouts for specific horses. Some of them allow you to bet past the betting line. So if 3 horses cross the betting line, it allows you to continue to place bets even past the betting line, which I think is a really cool ability. Again, you will get these special abilities after each race, except for the 4th race because the game will be over. There's also some specialty prop bets and stuff like that. As an example, like the 11 horse beats the 5 horse, or the 7 horse isn't in first, second, or third place, and so on and so on. Once all the 4th race is finished, the game will end. The players will count up all of their money, and the player with the most money wins the race. So that's the general overview for now. We'll get into a little bit more details as we go through. But again, all of this is all simultaneous action. You're just throwing pieces around, hoping for the best, hope you win. Let's get back to the table. All right. Well, that was Jared's going to kill me because that was chaotic as far as a detailed overview. But this game is chaotic. So it is.
It is the most chaotic, and every time I try to explain the rules to people, you get this is one of those games where it's not hard.
Yeah.
You get those blank faces. You get one race in, and people are like, "Oh, now I get it."
Ooh, yeah.
And then they're hooked and they're in and going. But it is a hard game to explain, and you really have to have your group just trust you and say, "Just watch. Just do this first one.
Just watch.
As much as you just understood, play it.
Yep.
If not, you're not going to be out of it. Trust me, you can win on one race."
Yep. Absolutely. And so I will mention one other thing here as we get into this is, and I mentioned it before. There are kind of 2 ways to go about this. You can play with the app, and so you can download it on, I think, iPad, iPhone, all the different app stuff. You can use that, and it has a little picture of all the horses on there, and it just moves them as you go. And it announces, what number is being moved. And so you can play like that. You just watch kind of the horse race happen on that. The alternative to that is that somebody is kind of the announcer to the race, and they're just rolling the 2 6-sided die over and over and over again, moving the horses, and you get to kind of announce as you go. You can add your own flair to it, which I think is very fun. You can kind of add a little spice and flair to that. So if you love being that type of person and personality, this might be a cool little trick for you to do that. So those are the two ways that the race is kind of organized. On top of that, when you're rolling, I do want to mention, and I think I forgot this, is that when you roll the same number twice in a row, the horse gets a bonus. And so you're like wondering, well, yeah, like the 7 should probably win every single time. Well,
the 7 doesn't get a bonus, where
exactly.
the farther away from that center, 7 being the middle, the farther away from the middle, the bigger the bonus is for that 2 rolls.
Yep. Oh man. And it's it's so good when you like put all your money on like the 10 and it just starts pulling these like quadruple bonuses, like it'll move like 4 and then it won't move for like many almost the race is over, and then it'll start to catch up and roll a couple in a row.
It's such a good equalizer in terms of those betting, because like you can sit there and watch the 7 just move methodically down there, because it's going to get rolled the most over time.
Yeah.
And you can just watch it methodically move down there, and then the 10 gets rolled twice in a row, and it's past it by 3 lengths.
It's so good. It's so good. And so no, that's something that as we go through, like, so one, we'll start here. And I don't know how much bad we have to say about this game, so this is going to be pretty positive. I don't know. I could be wrong on how we're going to take you to review this game, but I would say, what is one of the most fascinating things you love about this game? And it can be anything. You just go for it.
This game is the experience, especially with a big group. Everyone knows if you're into board games, the hardest thing to do is to find an engaging, fun game at a high player count. This one, you can get technically 9 players. Really, 9 kind of gets a little murky, but at 8 players, it is a fun game that people are sweating, people are
yes,
yelling.
They are.
There's action going on, and it's because of the time, because of this is a race. It kind of provides everything there. I mean, I can't even count now the number of times where I introduce new people to it, and they're not board game people, and 10 minutes into the game, they're screaming.
Yeah, having a game that creates an experience that, like, you don't, I guess if you're the announcer, you would have to kind of, create a little bit. I do think once you get into it, though, players are going to be right in there. And especially with the app, the game's just doing it. The game's giving you this experience and this place to, like, just have fun. And again, yeah, you don't have to be sporty. You don't have to love horse racing. Yeah, you don't even have to be a bettor. Like, none of those apply in this scenario. The race happens and you bet and you have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, we'll bring people who are normally like calm, chill people, and they're just screaming and yelling by the end of it, because they're just like, everyone buys into it. You, even if you're announcing, which I've done plenty of times, and it's not my favorite to do, because I don't, for one, I want to play and bet as well, but then on top of that, you trying to lead that, and I'm like, I'm not a performer. I don't have all that in me. But when you're going through it, the table takes care of it itself. People are leading that themselves, as you're just sitting there trying to keep up and going 10, 4, 4's moving again. 4 just took the lead. You're trying to give them that idea, trying to kind of replicate, for me, it's really replicate what the app does, of trying to give some information without slowing the game down. Because that can be, if you're rolling very openly and it's like everything's getting evenly rolls, the game is going to take a lot longer. And so you're just trying to keep the pace going.
Absolutely. When you're going through these, it's just, I think the best thing is, like, you only have a couple tokens, a couple betting chips, especially to start the game in that first round. Like you mentioned, it's like that first round, you only have a couple chips to begin with, so it's like fairly easy for everybody to kind of hop in. You're like, okay, well, I only have 3, so I guess I'll put here, and then we're done, because of that. So I think it's a good welcoming experience for people, because there's not much to do to start. And now, as the game goes on, now you really start to get a feel for what each turn will be. And I think it's a really cool experience. So how do you feel, like, as far as, how do you feel with the amount of players? Do you think it's best at that max player count?
For me, I've enjoyed it I don't think I've ever played it lower than 6. But because if we're playing lower than 6, that's probably not the mood we're going for.
Right.
But at 6, 7, 8, and we've done 9, and technically we've done 10, kind of splitting the roles of like whoever's rolling and announcing.
Yeah.
But at those higher player counts, it's perfect. Like it is just one of those games where it brings in that atmosphere, and I can't really see myself pulling this game out if we're playing with 4.
No.
It's not the point of this game. This game isn't not meant for a small group.
No, this is a big game. And it's designed to be that way. It's designed to be for this big experience that players are around the table, just honestly just having fun, just watching it. And you mentioned this, so I want to get into this, is that intensity to this game. Generally, the game is pretty chill, but you're just throwing some chips onto the table and whatever. But I think there is something to that experience, that there's this tension, because you most of the times you're placing your chips pretty early. Like, you can't just wait, because the betting line prevents you. Like, as soon as a couple horses get across, then you can't bet anymore. So you have to bet early. And some people, like, it says, the race is on, and boom, they already have a chip on the table. So I think it's so fun because it adds this tension of, you're hoping and praying that one horse is going to win. So, like, what is that experience for you?
Well, the best way to describe this one for me, like, so we invite, friends over as we do, and we, as much as we try, we're trying to more and more to force our friends into liking board games. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But like we're bringing, invite people over. They're not normal board gamers at all. Uh-huh. Not their thing. They'll enjoy it, but it's not like they're not going out of their way. And I don't think we were 30 seconds into game to like the race 1. Mm-hmm. And my buddy's just screaming because he put all his money on the 8 horse, I think maybe 1 chip somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he's screaming every time 8 is rolled. He's just screaming, 8 is great. And we're worried that the neighbors are going to like call because and stuff like that. He is bellowing. It's going echoing through everywhere, to the point where everyone in that group called the game 8 is great for the next couple times we had it around. But it's just one of those where you have this, it's an easy game. Once you understand it, it's so easy to do. Mm-hmm. And then you have the timer, and you have betting, and you just have an pretty, like, again, it's not a hard concept. I put this down, I multiply those numbers later. Yeah. Or actually, most of the time, I'm multiplying it for them and just handing them money.
Right, exactly.
And so it's not a hard game to grasp anywhere, but you get people buying in. Like, he's ever since then still bets heavy on the 8 horse every time.
That's his best horse. He loves it.
He's bought in. That's his guy.
That's hilarious.
That's where he's going for. And so it's just one of those things where it's not hard to bring out, mm-hmm. and it's so easy to pick up, and people will roll through it over and over again.
Yep. No, that's it's easy. It's an easy thing for people to get into, but it does bring that tension, which I think is really cool. So one thing, so we'll talk here. It's done by AEG. We've talked about AEG on this podcast multiple times. We love AEG. Now I will say the art style, I think it's welcoming. It's basic, but I think it gets the job done.
It's exactly what you'd expect out of a horse racing. Like,
yeah,
if you had a textbook that had horse racing as an example, this is exactly the kind of art you would expect it to have, in a different level. Like, it is exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
But they did really well, for me, in my opinion, on the board in general. Just, mm-hmm. It gives it the betting vibe.
Yeah.
It gives the horse racing vibe. Everything just comes across exactly as you need it, but it's not overly showy or anything like that.
No, I think it's really good. And, it's got this, if you look at just the basic picture, it's got this, like, it's just classy. It's like the classy horse. It's like, yeah, these people definitely go to they go to the Kentucky Derby. Like, that's where they go. That's where they're hanging out. So
yeah, and at the same time, like, yeah, it doesn't go overly showy in terms of, it's not trying to be like, the artwork isn't trying to show you the people with the biggest possible hats. It's just classic horse racing look. Like, that's the only way to describe it. They're not trying to do more with it than what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So as we get into this here, is there anything that you don't like about this game?
So, like, it's hard to nitpick this game because again, it is very at its core, it's so basic.
Yeah.
I like if we're gonna, we're picking nits here. We're trying to find that.
Yeah.
For me, it's very group dependent because like if as much as I've had great experiences with every group, when I've had around, like you sometimes get that time where you're like, okay, everyone's just kind of really chill. And this is not going to work out if everyone's just staying chill because it's just not going to provide that same atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I think that's happened maybe once where people are a little more chill with it because usually people get into it more. And then I think the only other thing with it is like, as you said, when you said people putting one chip down, well, when you bring non-board gamers like we've had, some of them are big gamblers.
Right.
And when you bring gamblers in, they see the odds and they're just going, I'm placing all my chips down within about the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a strategy. It can work. But again, like we're in gambling mode then, it's not in strategy mode. And so it kind of leaves that world. But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But it just pulls away from, if you're playing with a group of board gamers, they're going to maybe put one out early, but then they're going to let it develop a little, let some strategy fall in where you're actually watching where everything's actually going.
Yeah.
But then when you got people who are like, oh, I want to gamble. Here's my horse. We're going.
Exactly. No, I think that's a good point because I feel like when I play it, I'm a little bit more conservative. I definitely throw a chip down early, but it is, I'm patient, kind of waiting to see. And then, I get a feel for it where if you're like, if you are like a heavy bettor, you might be just like, screw it. We're doing it. We're just putting it all down.
I'm pretty sure it was the last time we played this. I don't think there was probably 4 people where I don't think a chip was in their hand after 20 seconds into the, like we're talking, we are just throwing money down. And then by the time, and so it's for me, like we're in like race 3 and I'm like, okay, for one, I'm not winning. And 2, strategy's out the window because I have nothing to choose from now because now half the table or more is all just throwing chips down.
Yep.
Blindly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good point. That's fun. That's the thing. And I guess I was supposed to say something bad about this game, but I do think I think that it's a welcoming, fun experience that it's a big party game. It's great. It's casual. I guess the one thing is like, you're looking at the board. It can be a little bit overwhelming because you just have like so many locations to put your betting chips. Especially, and I didn't mention, like I briefly mentioned, there's some couple prop bets. There's some specialty bets, like if the race is a close one, where so like the last 3 are like super close or something like that. There's all these like special little locations along with just betting on the winners, which is the main way I think you win a good amount of money. But there are a lot of those little extra locations. And so like I remember one of my first games, I'm like, okay, I understand the middle. And I did have somebody did say this to me. They're like, I understand the middle. Mm-hmm. I'm having a hard time, like, okay, I don't even know what to bet on that. I don't know if I need to bet on those. And I'm like, in general, they're okay. They can hit, but they're not always great. And sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. It's like any of the other bets. So that's the one thing, like it does take a little bit, like maybe 2 rounds to kind of figure out, okay, those, they generally hit, they generally don't. So it's something to keep in mind. But again, it's so quick. The way this game plays, I mean, when you're playing at the max player count, I mean, this game, in 30 to 45 minutes, I mean, it's...
Yeah, it rolls pretty quick. And like with those other spots, with those other bets, I don't even feel like, especially, I think like the first round the first time I played it, I tried to like force myself to bet everywhere because you're just like, oh, I'm trying to just get an understanding of what all these bets are. But then I don't think for the next like 3 games, like not races, 3 like full games, I don't think I touched anywhere outside of that middle because the middle was easy to keep track of. Mm-hmm. And when you're at a table with 8 people, sometimes it's even hard to know what the other one is. And you have to remind yourself over and over. You're like, at the end of the first race, you're like, hey, what was the exotic bet there? Like, I can't even read it from here. So what was it again? Can you read it again? Remind it?
I do feel like I'm saying that all the time.
And then but then when you again bring a timer into it where the race is going, you forget what that is. And your mind is in panic mode almost, where you're just like, I don't have time to go down and read that. I just have to bet where I can see.
Just got to go for it.
And so I think that, as much as it's very simple. It's like when you actually start breaking down some of those things, you're like, okay, that's a little hard to grasp and keep notice of because the board is only so big for 8 people.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it starts to get, I definitely think, because I've played this at, hold on, because I know you change how many bets you have based on.
Yeah, you start with 2, 3, 4, 5 if you're at, I think, 7 or 8.
I think that sounds right, yeah.
And then you bring in a second 3 if you're lower.
Yeah, returns one of the 3 chips at 7 or 8. Okay. So I know at 7 or 8, you have one less chip, but compared to the lower player count. So I have played this, I think, at 6 and 5. Even because then everybody gets that extra chip, so it still feels tight. The board feels tight, but I know at 8, it is like you run out of spaces very quickly. Very quick. Especially if you want to throw a bet out early, like early, as I'm saying, like the first 10 seconds, you need to be like on it as soon as the race starts. Because if not, you're betting with 8 people. It don't have a whole lot of opportunity, and only each horse. I mean, technically, let's see, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's only 7 spots for you to pick for each horse. So
and I think when you even I haven't played it at low, but I think when you go even lower to that like 4 level, I think you can't place outside of like 1 or 2 columns in the
so really
within there. So it starts to limit your bets there to try to keep it even.
Right.
The board does a good job of spacing that out. The same way as when you go for some of the higher ones, like when you're trying to bet for the 9x, you're thinking 2, 3 is going to win, which is not going to happen very often.
Yeah.
At least it's not a free bet because there's a little red number there that takes away your money if you lose that bet. Yeah. So like there's spots on there where I've had people who play and they only go after the spots that are free spots that don't have a negative to it.
Exactly.
It's risk reward there.
Yeah. And that's right. I did not mention that. So like you lose a little bit of money. If you miss a bet, and it's not all the spots though. So it's some of the more coveted areas that you lose money if you don't hit. But in general, if a lot of the locations, it'll have like a little red circle and it'll say -1, -2. That is not multipliers though. It's just like you lose $3 or $2.
The only time it's ever gets up high is when you're betting on your 2, 3, and 11, 12 horses to finish in third or better, because that's a very low stakes bet.
Yeah.
But they're trying to tell you don't bet on that because it's like a -4 or 5 there.
Exactly. So that's when you can lose some money. Most of the time, you either just I will say most of the time I'm not just winning any money, period. I'm not losing money, but I'm also not gaining any money whatsoever. So there's that.
Those times where you're done with race 2 or 3 and you realize that you literally have no money still, you're just like, what have I been doing for the last half hour?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I'm just not good at betting on horses, I guess. So no, that's I think it is cool because the way the board's laid out, and if you play 4 races, and if a low odds horse wins one time and you happen to bet on it, you more than likely can win the game.
The game is officially flipped. Anytime the blue colored horses, which are it's the lowest 4 odds horses, are all blue. Anytime one of the blue horses wins, the game's flipped, because if people are betting early, they're not betting those horses.
No.
So that's one of those where you were patient enough and then you hit it, but you also still had to hit it before other people. And then all of a sudden you're hitting the 7x multiplier, and you're like, okay, I put my 5 there. I'm already beating everybody else, from like their 3 races.
Absolutely,
because
just like
that's
that.
a big money one.
No, so an experience that I had, this guy I don't think he won a single dollar the entire game. Going into the last round, I had like $120 already. I was just reeling in the money every round. And going to the last round, he has a multiplier for the 11, 12, and he bets everything on it. And this guy won like $168 or $180 just off the one race. I think I won what's funny is I still did decent in that race, I lost by like $20.
No, it's gambling at the end of the day. Like it is what it is. Like if you hit it at the right moment, it's going to change your game in general. Yeah. And that's also what makes it fun is 3 races in, you see somebody at the table who's not a normal board game, and you're like, oh, they're like, I haven't won anything. I'm like, yeah, neither has the person that's across the table from you who plays board games on a weekly basis. Exactly. We're all in the same boat. And guess what? You could still win it at the end of it because you place one bet right and it falls to the right thing. Or you load up on one horse and block everybody else from it, and that horse just wins.
Yeah. No, I think it's super cool. So I want to mention this. So there are, and I've played both versions, which I want to mention. So there is a high roller edition, which was a Kickstarter, whatever. It had like a big play mat and like the big tokens. It is huge. The horses are all huge, and it's got this own personal board that you put the horses on, and it's like 7 times bigger than the original. But then there's the original box, which is, I think MSRP is like $30.
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's super cheap, and it obviously has like the small horses in it, but you can use the app on both. The board, the betting board on the original is a normal sized game board, I guess, where the high roller is like this massive like 6-foot mat that you have like actual poker chips to play on. So with those though, you haven't played on the high roller, but I've played on both. And what I will say to this is that I don't know if the high roller is like necessary. I don't think it's necessary at all. Like, let me be very clear. I think I had just as much fun playing on both. The one caveat to that is that the high roller has like obviously the bigger horse board. So if you're doing the announcing yourself, I think that's way more fun. But as far as the little board, you don't have an experience on the big board, so I don't know why I'm asking this question. But as far as that goes, do you see any difference there? Because like we use the app most of the time anyway.
Yeah, it's visibility. Like, because that's what I've said before is if you're at the opposite side of the table from whichever side you're on, if you're at the end of it, you're either going to not be able to always tell what the prop bets are. Right. With that time crunch, you're not going to always be able to tell, or you're going to miss what the exotic bets are. And for me, then you lose part of it. So having that visibility helps. And then, we usually do the app, and like we tried it one time running the app just on my iPhone, and that never happened again because again, visibility, everything's really too small. So we always get the iPad out for that and set it up. But it's like, if you're going to have those horses, you have to be, when you're announcing with those small horses, you do have to overemphasize, like every now and then you're like, oh, first, second, and third is blah, blah, blah. Because otherwise people are going to lose it because they're at the other end of the board at that point. Yeah. And the pieces are small for that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, again, the iPad does just fine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're going to announce it, having those hand size horses, it's nice. But then it's really the only problem is the actual box. Like the box for the regular version is like the box that I would expect a 2-player duel game.
It is.
And it's not even like a normal regular game box. It is that 2-player duel size box. It is tiny for what it has in it.
No, it is.
And then all of a sudden, then you see the high roller one, and you're like, oh, I could fit 18 boxes in this one.
The high roller, they went over the top on it. It is like the size of a table. The box itself is the size of a table, and then the mat is, you need like, basically I was able to fit the betting mat and the horse mat on like a traditional like fold out 8-foot table. It does fit. You can fit the one horizontally and then the other one vertical, and it does fit. So you can do it on like one 8-foot table. But no, I think that's a good point, is that like if you're trying to move, if you're going to be playing this all the time, the tiny little fiddly horses in the original box might be a little small, especially if you're trying to do it for big group, which there is something I want to talk about with big group. So this game is, what does it say? It says 2 to 9. So you would normally play 2 to 8. There's enough tokens and stuff to play 2 to 8, but then if you are the 9th, you would be, the house.
Yeah.
And you put your bets out kind of before the race starts, and everybody can still go on those locations. It just adds another element to be able to bet with. You just don't have the normal chips like everybody else does, and you don't get any like bonuses and stuff like that. I will say, though, there is another way to play this, and a lot of conventions will do this, and I haven't done this myself, but I want to mention it because I think it's awesome, and my plan is to do it. So, so it's on the radar. But basically, what you can do is you could take unlimited copies, and there's a convention that'll they do this all the time. They'll take 15, 20, 30 copies of this. They'll have one with like an overhead camera or something, and literally just do one race, but then you have 8 people at each table all around the room, and they're just announcing the one race, and everybody's betting based on that one race. So you, at these large events, I mean, you're having 50 people all betting technically on one race. Now you're playing, their own 8-person game with their own abilities and all that stuff. But I think that's for a game, one, that's a party game, and it comes, it's 2 to, I would say when I look at a box that says 2 to 8, 9 players, I'm thinking, okay, that's a party game. That number is technically 2 to 99 players. It could be whatever you want it to be in the end all be all, because I don't know. I just think that would be such a cool experience. So.
At that point, it becomes 8 per box, or 8 per board. And, when you get all those together, it's not changing the experience. The person at table 1, the only difference they're having is they're betting against the people at table 1 versus the person at table 7 is betting against the people at table 7. Yeah. You're having the exact same experience, but it's there, and I can't even imagine the noise that you're going to hit with that, because my table alone of 8 people gets loud enough. So it's like you have 6 other tables going, or whatever, however many number of tables. You're just going to all of a sudden hit this point where people are yelling and screaming. You're probably having people cross table. Like if you ever go to like a casino and play craps, where it's a very social, like everyone's on the same team. I guarantee you, although you might not be a teammate with somebody at your own table, I guarantee you're finding somebody in the next table who's also celebrating that you're probably high-fiving table 2 while table 3 is, you have a bunch of that going on. So
I think it's so cool.
I can't even imagine how the excitement level that would get to, because again, I've been having like sweat dripping down my back at the end of this, at some of these, because you get into it.
Yeah, you do. And I think that would be so cool. So that's something that I'll be visiting at some point, of having a large scale game. I think that would be so cool. And when when I originally heard about this game, it'd been out for years, and I was just like, I heard about it. It came out in 2022, so I guess not that long, but it was very, very popular. It was a very popular game. It was all over a lot of the conventions. A lot of people were talking about it, and they had these large scale events like this. And I was like, man, I was just hearing about it. I was like, that is so cool. It's such a neat idea. Like, the game has the concept and the contents of the box. You can just use those contents over and over again and just add more people and everybody play onto one race. It's just genius. It's absolutely genius, because I can find it. Maybe I should research and look at some interviews or something, but I can't imagine them when they're like designing this game. Maybe their first concept was like 32 people, and we're like, well, we can't have 30. That we got to make it cheap. So how do we do that? Okay, let's bring it down to 8, and then you can just buy a bunch of copies. So
yeah, and that's the thing, is like when you hear horse racing game, it's similar in the same vein of like when you're thinking like Camel Up, is the other one in the same realm. I guess it's different, but same realm. But you're thinking, oh, here's my horse, because that's how, like, a lot of times when you're trying to explain to people, like, no, you are not a horse.
Yeah, you're not the horse.
You are betting. You are just gambling. Yeah. And so, like, it kind of has to flip all that around. So it's like you wonder how many iterations they had to go through. Was the whole goal to always be betting, or was it a race game that turned into a betting game? Because those are things that I'm like, if they came at this with we're just going to make a horse betting game, like, ambitious, and they did it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that would be cool. I mean, that's the one part of the game design I have know nothing about, so I think it's cool. But I think that's such a neat thing of them. They must have had that idea. They're like, okay, well, how do we scale this back and also provide the amount of players that we want during this experience? And I think everybody can. No, I want to say, I think, and what I had in mind too is like, and you mentioned this because on the app, you can put on your phone, which is tiny. And then what I do, I have like a little iPad, but I end up just using my computer because it's bigger. Yeah. And so you can get the app, you can go on their like website too. It has all, you can get it basically on anything. The other idea that I had is like, if you had a very large scale like this and you just wanted to use the app, you just connect it to like a projector and just
100%.
run it that way.
Yeah. And if you have a lot of modern TVs in general, you can plug in, or Apple, you can usually cross play from your phone directly to there, and you're going to get that same experience.
Absolutely.
Just more visible.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, those are the two main ways to get this. And like I said, like the original box, small box, I think MSRP is $39. I have seen this game for like $15. Like, you get this game pretty cheap. The High Roller was a Kickstarter thing, and you can still find them. I think they ran about 100 to 150, depending. So might be more difficult to find. I don't think they're going to be, making that all the time or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't even remember what it exactly was, but it was not enough that completely dissuaded me from I sat there, on that page, like, do I want this? Do I want this?
Yeah.
Because I get the game out enough, like, do I want this?
Exactly.
But it's one of those where it's like, well, it doesn't change the game at all. And so then the cheap side of me is like, no, I don't need it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't cost enough.
No, it is it's a lofty price. I did not own the game, so that's like $30. I was just like, because I wanted it. But anyway, so it just makes everything bigger. That's all. Like, the horses are bigger. The cards, I do like that the cards are bigger. And the chips of the board, everything's bigger.
And you can show off a little when you pull it out.
That's right.
That's the hidden part of it, is you pull out the regular box. There's nobody's getting impressed by that.
Right.
Like, none of the insider board game people are like, oh, they're like, okay. But when you pull out the big giant one, it's impressive.
It's literally a suitcase. It's like got a magnetic seal and everything. It's pretty hilarious, honestly. It's over the top, but I love it. So, but again, like we said, I think the size of everything in that the regular box is great. So, all right. So what we'll do here is we'll go into our kind of final thoughts, grading, and so we'll go into that. All right. Well, I'll go first. So, one, I think this game is absolutely amazing. I don't know if that came across at all, but I will say that I think this game is exceptional at creating an experience. And so we do talk about that, and that's what I want in a game. I want a game that's bringing experience to the table that like another game can't do. There are plenty of other racing games where you're the one racing. That's not what's happening here, like you mentioned. You mentioned that prior. I'm watching a race, and I'm hoping that the race or the horse that I like wins, or that I bet on. And then you're betting on it in real time. And there's no turns. It is fast paced, moving as you go, just watching the tension of a race happen. And I don't know if I've seen that in another game like this. Like, I have played games where that tension is because I'm racing, but like, to have this experience happening all at once, and it actually, like, crazy enough, it does simulate an actual horse race to the best that I've ever seen. And not that I've like played a bunch of games that do that, but but I do think it does that so well. And so I'm going to give this a 10 because I think it is a perfect party game. Like, I would feel like I would feel bad not giving it that. I think this is one of my favorite party games. I can play it with whoever, and they will have fun. And if for some reason they hated it, it's not that long. It's only 30 minutes. So we're done. You can drop out if you want. But I think most people are going to really enjoy it even after that couple, like the first two races, they're locked in at that point. I think it's fantastic. So tell me what you think.
So, man, the perfect 10 threw me. I wasn't, as much as I know we both like the game, I still wasn't expecting a perfect 10 on there. I still wasn't expecting it. But no, I mean, this game, like, if we peeled back all the experiential part, this game is fine.
Yeah.
It's good.
Exactly.
But that's not what you don't do that to other games. Other games just don't provide that same experience. And like, as I said, like, it is a party game, and party games are hard to enjoy from multiple levels. Like, you can have your levels of, your apples to apples, your very basic stuff that anybody can pick up.
Yeah.
And some people really love, but if you're getting into board games, you push that away real quick.
I'm not interested.
But then you can have more, like, you can get bigger and bigger with all those things, and you can get a lot more strategic. This game just blends everything. Like, and that's really what provides that experience. And it does make you feel like you're truly gambling to the point where people are afterwards are talking about going to the casino because they're like, you just get that rush and going with it. So it's like, how do you grade that? Because if you're grading against all games ever, I'm like, you're like, I'm still putting it like really high. I'm thinking like 8.5 because you're like, it's like, I can't put this up with some of the most high strategy games that I have.
Right.
But then you were like, no, but on a party game scale, I can't rate it anything. Like, I feel like even calling it 9.9 would be insulting to how much, like, I've had too much fun with this game that even rating it lower than that. So it has to be that 10. I'm like, I thought I was going to just like,
I sold it.
I thought I was going to come and blow you out and be like, no, I'm just giving that perfect 10 party game because I'm like, I don't have another experience like this one.
Yeah. I might, maybe I oversold it to you. Maybe that's what it was. But no, that's how I put. Party games are gonna fall under this different cat because it's a whole other animal. It's a whole other game. That there's not like crazy strategic party games. You can't do that. It's too many people. So I think having this experience and again with a party game, you want everybody at the table to be having a good time. You want them to be having fun, and you want them to leave that experience with a memory. And so that's what you're trying to replicate in this. And I think this does it so exceptionally well. So I guess, again, we didn't have a whole lot bad to say about this game anyway, but
well, because it's just, again, like if I'm bringing with 4 players, I'm not bringing this game out.
Absolutely not.
At 4 players, I'm probably rating this game way lower.
Yeah.
But at 8 players, it's just, I mean, the amount of times, again, I've played it where people are screaming, yelling, betting, and all that. Like, it's just too much fun. It's like, it is just a fun time. Yeah,
it is. And you can't go wrong. You really can't. So yeah, that's Ready, Set, Bet. Well, thank you so much for listening to this, and Derek for being here. I think it's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And so I think this was a game that we both enjoyed. You shared this game with me, so thought it was only appropriate that we would both give it 10s. That's right. All right. If you have any feedback or want to give us your thoughts on this game in particular, we would love to hear from you. Link to our socials are in the description. If you don't like socials, I understand. You can check out our website at thegametablepodcast.com, or you can shoot us an email at thegametablepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Board Game Geek. We have all the links there. You can message us on Board Game Geek as well. All of these links are in the description. 5-star reviews, subscribing in the podcast player of your choice, following us on socials, and joining the conversation on Discord. These heroic actions are immensely helpful in growing the podcast. Special thanks to Angie Santiago for the cover art and Anna Snyder, who made the intro and outro music, and to Alexa Chislin to the How to Play background music. Join us next week as we head back to the kids' table. In the meantime, may your dice rolls and card draws be blessed, and your experiences at the table be ones to remember forever.
All right. So quit saying things bad about Jared.
Yeah, that's right. We will stop saying bad things about Jared. He's not going to hear this at all. All right. Yep. Levels look good.